Chapter 405 Convincing the Beast God. Seeing how sincere Hua Yuao was, Ditian slowly nodded and relaxed his grip on Hua Yuao. At the same time, he retracted some of the suppression that he had forced on Hua Yuao. Hua Yuao felt more relaxed at this point. Even though he had made a good start, he didn't dare to slack off. He was clearly aware that the Beast God might erupt any time if he said or did anything wrong. Things were also very quiet down below. Elder Sun, Elder Mu and the other strong individuals from Trek were watching tensely. Ditian's sudden silence left them slightly weirded out, but they didn't make any moves, seeing that the Beast God hadn't killed Hua Yuao yet. The body Doluo Dubusi had already crawled back to his feet. He looked very miserable right now, not expecting the Beast God to be so strong. When Ditian unleashed his full strength, Dubusi had felt that he was completely irresistible. The teachers from Shrek Academy were quickly organizing the students, while the Shrek City Defense Army meditated and rested. No one knew what was going to happen next, but every bit of soul power they recovered would earn Shrek an extra glimmer of hope. A streak of white light shone from Hua Yuao's eye of destiny. In the next moment, a petite figure appeared in front of Hua Yuao. It was a young lady who looked to be around 14 or 15 years old. Her dress was a spotless white as it swayed in the wind. Her genie-like deep blue eyes oozed a boundless, chilly intent, but there seemed to be a lack of quick-wittedness within them. Even though Ditian was experienced and knowledgeable, he was still stunned when he saw the Snow Lady. After all, she was released from Hua Yuao's eyes. Furthermore, he could tell that this wasn't some sort of soul skill. Hua Yuao's martial soul had been switched. 1 red and 4 orange gold soul rings slowly rose around him. As he looked at the different glows that came from his soul rings before looking at the Snow Lady in front of him again, Ditian's golden eyes revealed a confused look. I am a different soul master. I possess twin martial souls, and this is my second martial soul, the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. Hua Yuao could also make the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm appear, but he didn't do so. When he had faced Ditian earlier, he could sense the Sky Dream Iceworm's hatred towards him. It was unforgettable. Undoubtedly, Ditian was the mastermind who had forcefully tried to snatch the Sky Dream Iceworm's million-year accumulation. As for the Ice Empress, Hua Yuao wanted to hide her existence, because the Ice Empress was conscious. If he revealed anything suspicious, things might turn counterproductive. Ditian nodded as he sensed the aura of ultimate ice coming from Hua Yuao's body. It's indeed the aura of the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion. You are indeed blessed by ultimate ice. Is this the Ice Ski Snow Lady? Can your soul ring produce a summoning type soul skill? After finishing this last sentence, he also became a little uncertain. Hua Yuao shook his head and said, from the colors of my soul rings, you can tell that this isn't a simple soul skill. Can't you tell who she is? With a thought from Hua Yuao, the Snow Lady moved. She lifted her right hand, and a streak of deep blue sword light shot out like a bolt of lightning towards Ditian's forehead. As the sinister chill approached, Ditian's eyes shone with golden light before the sword light was crushed. However, he immediately opened his eyes wide as he realized that it was a familiar chilly intent. Is this the Snow Empress unparalleled chill? You are the Ice Ski Snow Lady. Ditian couldn't help but exclaim as he looked at the Snow Lady in front of him. The Snow Lady drifted in the air, but she didn't move from her position. She naturally wouldn't react to Ditian's question. Ditian's gaze quickly shifted to Hua Yuao's body, and it turned sharp. How is this possible? Why is the Ice Ski Snow Lady in your body? What is the relationship between you? She seems to be unaware. Hua Yuao nodded gently. The Snow Empress situation represents hope for the future between humans and soul beasts. I met her at Hua Yuao started to recount how he had first encountered the Snow Empress embryo, and transformed the Snow Empress into a spirit. He didn't even conceal the truth about Electrolux's existence. He even went so far as to talk about his spectral demiplane. It wasn't easy to earn the Beast God's trust. Hua Yuao had no choice but to do this. Ditian would have certainly sensed the presence of the undead army earlier. He needed to prove that everything he said was true beyond the shadow of a doubt. Without his spectral demiplane, he couldn't have summoned an army of 100,000 undead. Given that he was only a soul sage, he only hid the existence of the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm. Ditian listened silently to Hua Yuao's story, but his emotions were undulating throughout. However, he hid them very well, and Hua Yuao couldn't tell anything from his emotions or the look in his eyes. What Hua Yuao was certain about was that the Beast God heeded his words. However, you still failed in the end. The Snow Empress lost her spirit and her awareness. How can the spirit that you talk about be considered a success? Hua Yuao calmly replied, yes, you are right. I can't guarantee that the conversion into a spirit can be successful. However, how can we determine the success of this experiment just through one try? We can only ascertain the possibility of success with more attempts. However, at least we found a new route that we can take. The Snow Empress gave me 4 soul rings. I didn't kill any soul beasts for these 4 soul rings. They were willingly offered to me by the Snow Empress. In addition, the existence of my spirit is more beneficial to me than having soul rings. This is what I mean when I said that a problem of interest can only be resolved with interest. If a soul master can obtain a spirit, he won't need a soul ring at that particular rank. In addition, it's even more beneficial for him. Don't you think he'll agree to this arrangement? At the same time, a spirit can bring more than just one soul ring to a soul master, and it can even be controlled by a human and a soul beast together. A soul master might pursue a higher tier soul ring, but what about soul engineers? Furthermore, if a top tier soul beast is used to fuse with a soul master to create a spirit, and this soul beast is compatible with me, why wouldn't I be willing to obtain more soul rings from it? These are what we have been researching. It's a pity that we can't complete this research by ourselves. The reason is very simple. We find it very difficult to find soul beasts that are on the verge of death and are willing to trust us. To a certain extent, the Snow Empress spirit failed because the Snow Empress embryo was stuck in a special situation in which it was on the verge of exploding. At that time, it was already difficult for us to ensure that she wouldn't die. However, I'm confident of succeeding if we establish a pact. This is why I hope to receive the help of soul beasts for my future research in this aspect. If you're willing to personally find a few soul beasts who are in this state to fuse with a few of our human soul masters that have reached their bottlenecks, you can help to prolong the lives of those soul beasts. Even though they might only be able to survive for another 100 years by following a human soul master or soul engineer, they'll at least be able to experience this world in a different way. Their lives can be extended for a slightly longer period of time, which should be better than just dying. If this research is successful, soul masters will have more choices in the future. Every soul master can even wait until their soul power accumulates to a sufficient standard before fusing with a spirit. I even hope that if spirits can provide enough soul rings for us, we can let these spirits leave these soul rings behind of their own accord. When soul masters and soul engineers need them at some stage, they can actively fuse with these soul rings. In this way, humans and soul beasts might not remain enemies in the future, but friends that rely on each other. I'd be satisfied if we could achieve such a result. Hua Yuao didn't continue speaking. He knew that his ideals were slightly contradictory to those of both soul beasts and humans. The Beast God needed time to think and understand his intentions. He stopped talking and waited quietly. When he flew up from the southern city wall today, he had already disregarded his own life. No matter what others thought, he believed that he was the one who had brought this calamity to the Great Stardow Forest. If he couldn't stop this calamity, he was willing to die for Shrek. Hua Yuao, who was much calmer than he had been in the past, had another thought. The greatest barrier to the research on spirits was what he mentioned earlier. There weren't enough dying soul beasts that were willing to cooperate. If he could convince the Beast God, it would be extremely beneficial to his research on spirits. Ditian remained silent for a while. After some time, he slowly lifted his head. I've never heard of the things you've mentioned to me. I don't know if you're trying to trick me. However, I can tell you that I'll risk everything to destroy Shrek City if you are lying to me. This time, we've indeed suffered great losses. However, Shrek City will no longer have the protection of the Golden Tree if there's a next time. Are you willing to follow me into the Great Stardow Forest to attempt your research? You need to prove your words with actions. I'm willing. Hua Yuao replied without any hesitation. Ditian nodded and said, all right, then you shall follow me and remain in the Great Stardow Forest. The 3-eyed golden lion is dead, and you carry the destiny of the forest with you. From now on, if you remain in the forest and continue your research on spirits, I'll retract this beast wave right now. Hua Yuao remained silent for a moment, then said, Beast God, I'll definitely continue my research into spirits. However, I can't always stay in the Great Stardow Forest. There are still many things that I have to do, and thus I can't make that promise to you. Ditian's aura suddenly became more dominant. Do you think that I'm negotiating with you? The look in Hua Yuao's eyes also turned sharp. I'm not negotiating with you, either. The 2 pairs of eyes that met were completely disproportionate. However, Hua Yuao didn't seem to lose to Ditian in terms of aura. If the Beast God could maintain his cool, it meant that he was willing to think about the future of the Great Stardow Forest. At least, he wouldn't just kill Hua Yuao outright. This was what Hua Yuao was depending on right now. Ditian said, follow me back to the forest first. Wait a minute. Hua Yuao suddenly said, what else do you want to say? The beast god's emotions seemed to be on the verge of ignition. Who are you? Al answered. I want to say a few words to my elders and seniors from Shrek Academy first. If you just take me away like this, I'm certain that the Academy will move on the forest when they recover their vitality. They might even invite all the strong individuals from the entire continent to target the forest. Do you really want to see that happening? Tien was startled for a moment, then nodded slowly. That makes sense, and you're also qualified to do so. All right, I'll give you a few minutes. You can speak to them now. As he spoke, he released Hua Yuao. Hua Yuao had no intention of absconding. In fact, trying to escape from the most terrifying soul beast in the world right now would be a stupid move. Teacher. Hua Yuao shouted at the top of his voice and kneeled down in midair. He kowtowed towards Elder Mu. When he shouted the word teacher, he was no longer as calm as before. Tears started to stream from his eyes. Elder Mu was also slightly shocked after hearing Hua Yuao's exclamation. Yuao, what's wrong? Are you fine? Tien, let him off. Otherwise, I'll destroy the entire Great Stardo Forest. Tien nodded coldly, but didn't say anything. Hua Yuao hurriedly said, Teacher, don't be rash. I've convinced the beast god to retract his army and end this beast wave. This beast wave started because of me. I would like to say a few words to you and the various elders. After Elder Mu, Elder Sun and Elder Song heard his words. They were stunned. He has convinced the beast god to retract his army? Tien went berserk earlier. Can he really be convinced with words? When they looked at the golden-eyed black dragon king again, Tien was indeed much calmer than before. Even the purplish gold flames on his body had disappeared. Hua Yuao continued, saying loudly, Teacher and elders, as we expected, the most important reason why this beast wave was started is because of the survival of soul beasts. I recounted the progress of our research into spirits to the beast god just now, and managed to convince him that I'll produce results for him to see. In this world, we and soul beasts are all part of the food chain. It's only by surviving together that we can maintain the ecological balance. This time, the Great Stardo Forest has already suffered heavy casualties. Please trust me and let me dispel this hatred between humans and soul beasts. At the same time, I also obtained permission from the beast god to work with him to further our research of spirits. If it succeeds, humans and soul beasts will no longer be enemies in the future, but partners. All the elders and strong soul masters from the body sect couldn't believe it. Hua Yuao had actually managed to persuade the beast god by himself. It was too unbelievable. The entire body sect was lost, including Dubusi. They were all thinking, what are spirits? Elder Mu was a little doubtful as he replied, Yuao, you. Hua Yuao said with certainty again, Teacher, don't worry. I'll do my best to complete this task for Shrek, and for peace between humans and soul beasts. I hope you can find some volunteers in the academy that have reached their bottlenecks and need soul rings. I'll lead them to carry out my experiment on spirits in the future. Right now, I'll follow Tien back into the Great Stardo Forest. Don't worry, I'll be fine with Tien's protection. No. After hearing that Hua Yuao was going to return to the Great Stardo Forest with Tien, all the elders shouted in unison. Tien nodded coldly and said, none of you have any say in this at all. His words have moved me today. On his account, I'll temporarily withdraw my army. If his words are lies, humph. After he finished speaking, he grabbed Hua Yuao tightly and beat his wings forcefully. As he exuded a majestic aura, he flew towards the direction of the Great Stardo Forest. At the same time, he let out a deafening dragon roar. The soul beast army outside Shrek City started to move. Under the command of the 4 savage beasts, they left with the injured soul beasts, and tried their best to drag some of the soul beast carcasses with them as they retreated back into the Great Stardo Forest. After seeing that the beast wave was retreating, the entire city descended into silence. After a brief moment, someone shouted, and cheers started to ring from all 4 sides. The sky turned brighter, and the sun slowly rose in the east. The rays of sunlight that fell as dawn approached illuminated the large number of soul beast carcasses outside Shrek City. At the same time, they illuminated Shrek City, and shone on the fatigued yet excited faces of everyone in the city. Shrek had emerged victorious. They had relied on slightly more than 10,000 soldiers to resist the onslaught of a beast wave from the Great Stardo Forest for 2 days and 2 nights. As the beast wave retreated, Shrek City was preserved. Shrek had won. More than 1/3 of the soldiers and 20% of the soul masters from Shrek had been killed in this battle, and almost everyone was hurt. In addition, all the soul tools defending the city had been destroyed, and all the stationary soul cannon shells had been used up. In spite of all this, Shrek had still managed to attain victory. This was a victory in a battle between humans and soul beasts. This was a victory that belonged to all of Shrek. Elder Mu stared in the direction the golden-eyed black dragon king had left in. There was a lost look in his eyes. Elder Sun respectfully asked, Elder Mu, what should we do? You Al. Elder Mu's lost look slowly turned into a comforted one. That kid didn't disappoint me. He is really grown up. Let's just follow his words. Let's compensate the families of those who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty and quickly restore order in the city. At the same time, we'll have to treat the wounded. While the beast wave has retreated, this matter has only just begun. Let's announce our research on spirits to the soul masters of the body sect and heavenly soul empire that came here to assist us, and ask for volunteers while we await news from Yuao. This war might actually not be a bad thing. If Tien is willing to coordinate with us in our research, soul beasts and humans might actually become friends. Yes. Elder Sun acknowledged his words. Elder Mu took another look at Tien, who was slowly disappearing into the distance. Under the illumination of the sun, his elderly face was stained with an extra trace of gold, and he also wore a gentle smile on his face. A halo descended, and he returned to the golden tree once more. Dubusi had been standing beside Elder Sun and Elder Mu throughout this exchange. Elder Mu didn't conceal anything from him when he spoke to Elder Sun earlier. Dubusi clearly heard everything that Elder Mu had said. Spirits. What exactly are spirits? This secret regarding spirits was actually able to drive that berserk beast god to retreat. I've never been so curious about this ultimate duo. Elder Sun turned around and said to Dubusi, let's go. Follow me to the sea god's pavilion. I'll tell you everything about spirits. Dubusi laughed and said, never did I expect that I'd be able to enter Shrek Academy in my entire life, under the condition that there's no loser between the body sect and Shrek Academy. Interesting. Sun Zi, the kid who was taken by Tien earlier must be the kid with his eyes as his body soul. Am I right? Elder Sun nodded slightly. Dubusi twisted his lips. I last saw him a few months ago, but he now has 7 rings instead of 5. Shrek Academy is indeed the #1 academy on the continent. Elder Sun laughed bitterly. All right, that's enough. You can keep your sarcasm to yourself. He just came back today. When he left, he only had 5 rings. I don't know why he suddenly has 7 rings now. He naturally wouldn't reveal to Dubusi that Hua Yuao's enhancement was likely to be related to the Emperor Beast's sacrifice. Shrek City started to settle down again. This time, the Great Stardo Forest's vitality was greatly hurt along with Shrek Academy. However, Shrek Academy had managed to obtain huge rewards from this episode compared to the soul beasts. Not to even mention soul rings. The number of soul bones that were gathered after this battle exceeded the total number of soul bones that had been gathered in the entire history of Shrek. More than 200,000 soul beasts had been killed. Even if the possibility was only 1 out of 1,000, how many soul bones would still be produced? Moreover, soul bones were more likely to appear from 10,000-year soul beasts. The value of these soul bones and soul rings, as well as the soul beasts' carcasses that weren't dragged away, could more than make up for the Academy's losses. A few days later, caravans started to stream out of Shrek City and proceed in different directions. They only had one mission: exchange whatever Shrek had obtained during the war for rare metals. Soul tools had played a very important role in this battle. Without the Tang Sect and Shrek Academy soul tools, as well as the Tang Sect stationary soul cannon shells from the Sun Moon Empire, Shrek would have fallen under the attack of the soul beast army even before the reinforcements arrived. Within a few days, large numbers of reinforcements arrived in batches. The first to arrive were the soul masters from the 3 empires. When they learned that the soul beast army had retreated, they still remained in the city for a time. Suddenly, the entire city became extremely crowded. As Shrek Academy had suffered huge losses this time, they didn't offer some of the rewards that they had obtained during this war to these soul masters that came. They weren't being petty. They just needed a lot of resources in order to rebuild the city. However, these soul masters definitely didn't come for nothing. Shrek Academy took this opportunity to share a very important research topic with them: spirits. All information relating to spirits, including Shrek Academy's current research progress and even Hua Yuao's temporary agreement with the Beast God, was disseminated to all the Soul Masters that arrived. The Soul Masters from the Heavenly Soul, Star Luo, and Doling Empires found out for the first time that there was something that could replace Soul Rings. Furthermore, this thing was even stronger than Soul Rings. Shrek Academy deliberately exaggerated the effect of spirits. Although Shrek Academy didn't have an example to prove their words, Hua Yua did reveal the Snow Lady during the Continental Elite Youth Soul Master Tournament. Many of the Soul Masters who were here to reinforce Shrek competed in that tournament and were even saved from the Sun Moon Empire by Hua Yuao. They naturally knew about the magical Snow Lady, especially when Hua Yua defeated the 7-ringed evil Soul Master Gulong even though he only had 5 rings back then. Wasn't it because of the combined strength of the Snow and Ice Empresses? This was all attributed to the strength of a spirit. Suddenly, the word spirit became very popular across the entire continent. There was a new term in the world of Soul Masters. The only pity was that Shrek Academy didn't publicly announce the incantations needed to fuse with a spirit. They only mentioned that Shrek City would be designated as a pilot site for the conversion of spirits, and it would serve all Soul Masters. At the same time, Shrek Academy also gathered Soul Masters that had reached bottlenecks in their cultivation among all the Soul Masters that arrived in Shrek City. There wasn't any requirement, but there were only 100 available slots. The chosen 100 participants didn't need to pay for anything, but there wasn't any guarantee that the fusion of spirits would be successful. In addition, there was some element of risk involved. There was always bound to be risk involved. Among the thousands of Soul Masters that came, there were many who had reached bottlenecks in their cultivation. Eventually, 56 people signed up for this experiment that was risky, yet potentially groundbreaking. The remaining 44 slots were filled by Shrek Academy. Among these 100 Soul Masters, the weakest had a 3-ring cultivation, while the strongest had an 8-ring cultivation. Most tiers of Soul Masters were included in this experiment. These volunteers temporarily remained in Shrek City to wait for news from Hua Yuao. Shrek Academy once again faced the entire world of Soul Masters on the Duluo continent with an unselfish attitude. Of course, this was where they were clever. If their research succeeded, the existence of spirits would be spread by word of mouth. This was also what Shrek Academy was trying to achieve. The benefit of spirits was the future developments it would be able to support. It was only through letting all Soul Masters realize how good spirits were that would be it possible for everyone to stop hunting and killing soul beasts. In exchange, humans and soul beasts could undergo a different form of fusion. This might also be the key to removing the hatred and conflict between Soul Masters and soul beasts. Shrek Academy was arranging everything in full swing. As the battle ended, Hua Yuao was also brought to the slaughtering grounds in the Great Stardow Forest by the Beast God. Ditian retracted his wings as he entered the Great Stardow Forest. His body also quickly shrank in size. Very soon, he looked like a human once more. A streak of black light was released from his body and encircled Hua Yuao, which helped him to fly. The two of them flew towards the slaughtering grounds together. They looked like brothers right now, instead of a human and a soul beast. There were millions of soul beasts living in the Great Stardow Forest. However, Ditian only led those with fighting strength out for the battle. However, his army had still comprised most of the fighting soul beasts in the forest. The losses they had incurred had greatly hurt the vitality of the Great Stardow Forest. Hua Yuao finally arrived at the slaughtering grounds. Ditian led Hua Yuao past the thick canopy and slowly drifted down. Hua Yuao was immersed in his thoughts earlier. However, he was jolted awake when the scenery around him suddenly changed. Following this, he was surprised when he looked around. The slaughtering grounds in the Great Stardow Forest was recognized as one of the most terrifying places in the entire continent. No soul master dared to venture into this area. In other words, it was like a forbidden ground for humans. Hua Yuao had always wondered what it was like in the slaughtering grounds of the Great Stardow Forest. When he was younger, he had always imagined there to be all types of ferocious beasts here. However, what was it like in front of him now? He first saw a lake. Although it wasn't very huge, considering that he could see the opposite side of it, it felt like the sea god's lake. The surface of the lake was extremely smooth, and the dim green water resembled the most beautiful piece of natural jade. It flashed with green lights that were filled with life. Around the lake were ancient trees that reached into the clouds. There was a slight layer of mist above the lake, and the moist air swept over to them by a light breeze, carrying the fragrance of plants along with it. There was a strong aura of life here. The life energy here was extremely prosperous, several times stronger here than in the outside world. There were also many natural elements, and they were even concentrated, not inferior to the ice fire yin yang well that he had been to before. This place was like the source of all life. It was like all life in the Great Stardow Forest was nurtured by this place. The principles of heaven and earth seemed to fill this place, and even the slightest sound threatened to destroy the peace and beauty of this place. Was this really the slaughtering grounds? To Hua Yuao, this place was more like a paradise for all living creatures. The black air around him disappeared, and Ditian stood quietly beside Hua Yuao. Do you sense it? Isn't it beautiful? Hua Yuao replied without any hesitation. It's too beautiful. This is like a mortal paradise. It seems like this is where the goddess of nature lives. Ditian said, yes, this is a place that nurtures life. This lake that you are seeing contains the holiest water of life in the Great Stardow Forest. This lake has existed for more than 1,000,000 years. This is the lake that nurtures all life in the Great Stardow Forest. It's a miracle on its own. It gave the forest its own ecological balance over 1,000,000 years. Initially, He stopped when he reached that part. He revealed a sense of loss in his eyes, as well as an odd look. Hua Yuao didn't look at him. He was completely astonished by the beauty of the scenery that was in front of him. The water of life. Yes, that was only this name that could express the beauty of it. I didn't expect this. Who would have thought that the core region of the slaughtering grounds was actually so beautiful? Ditian said with a sense of loss. This is the work of nature. It's the source of life that nature offered to this world. I hope that everything you said today is true. Hua Yuao nodded, turned to Ditian and said, soul beasts are a part of this world. Without soul beasts, there naturally wouldn't be soul masters. I'm afraid such a beautiful place wouldn't exist, either. Don't worry, I'll do my best. You should know that I'm wagering my life. Just like soul beasts, humans only have one life. At this moment, a furious roar sounded, and a dark golden figure flashed to their side in an instant. Why, Ditian, why? This figure had adopted the human form of a muscular man. He was more than 2 meters tall, and his muscles were extremely well developed. When he saw Hua Yuao beside Ditian, he lifted his hand, and terrifying, sharp, dark golden blades extended out. He clawed towards Hua Yuao. Hua Yuao stood in place without moving. He knew how insignificant he was here. Ditian furrowed his brow. Bear Lord, don't cause trouble. As he lifted his right hand, a black barrier appeared in front of Hua Yuao. As a piercing scratching sound resonated, the Bear Lord's attack was blocked. This muscular man was the human form of the Bear Lord. The Bear Lord glared furiously at Ditian and said, Ditian, do you know how many of our brothers and sisters were killed? How many of our compatriots are dead? Those despicable humans were about to fall to us. Why did you give the order to retreat? Why? Ditian's eyes suddenly brightened. He exuded a threatening light from his bright golden eyes. The sovereign-like suppression that came from him materialized into a layer of golden light that trapped the Bear Lord. The Bear Lord went silent. He was astonished. He unleashed a layer of his own dark golden light as he tried to resist Ditian's suppression. Remember, I'll have your palm for breakfast if you dare to talk to me in that tone again. Ditian said very slowly. The Bear Lord's arrogance had evidently been restrained, and he lowered his head. I'm sorry, Ditian. It's just that too many of us were killed. Ditian also retracted his suppression. I know that. Do you really think I'm not heartbroken? This time, the humans' abilities were beyond my expectations. Furthermore, they had reinforcements. Have you even thought about how the 3 empires would react if we destroyed Shrek City at all costs? We've already been drained. If we continued, we'd have faced a catastrophe. The Bear Lord was stunned. His intelligence was much weaker than his offensive strength. He was immediately stunned by Ditian's words. A few projections flashed past, and a few other soul beasts appeared in front of Ditian. They were Baiji the Emerald Swan, the Myriad Demon King, and the Scarlet King. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.